I'm no expert in Gran Turismo. I really don't know much about cars. I don't even have a driver's license. My wife is getting one though, and she's going to take us places in our soon-to-be tiny and shiny little electric car. To be honest, getting to an Uber can even be a relatively anxious experience for me, but if there's one thing I'm an expert in though is loving racing games. I especially adore the ones that I played when I was just a tiny little mere child. Need for Speed Underground 1, 2, Colin McRae Rally 2.0, Test Drive Unlimited, Kirby Air Ride, debatably a racing game. The list goes on and on and on. One of the games that stood out though was Gran Turismo 4. Like most kids, I wasn't really interested in anything that had to do with the real world. Gaming was an escape. I just wanted to mash button, kill thing, and win XP, coins, or any shiny thing that gave my tiny brain a sense of accomplishment. Enter Gran Turismo 4. Gran Turismo 4, the game with the jazziest, coolest interface and music in all of the PS2 era. I was hooked by its presentation and aesthetics. The menu music, the car models, even the little sounds that the pointy mouse selector thing makes when you move everything. Thanks to this game, I actually know the factoid that Spain actually makes cars. Who would have thunk, huh? Everything from how the UI is designed to how there's a brief history of the car you're looking at in each dealership just screams suave luxury. Rad whispers. And well, there I was, being a clueless kid buying the cheapest car in used car showroom one. Probably a Honda Civic from the early 90s of some sort, trying to figure out how to manage the complex handling system of a simulation game. Quickly I came to realize that this game had many different tracks where I would race my cars. And some of those tracks didn't look like the regular tracks one has come to know and love. This kind of blew my mind originally. The idea that a proper, serious-looking game about motorsport could include something that wasn't a cold and stale track bound by the checkered flags and rules and regulations was very refreshing. Figuratively so though. I know that rules didn't change depending on the track, but it definitely felt like it. The Special Conditions events. Home to the best Gran Turismo 4 tracks ever. Citta di Aria is number 1 on the list, and what a banger of a racing track it is. The incredibly narrow corridors of this track made it one of the most difficult for me to even complete a lap in. It has really mean, really square corners, and it made me brake my car, which I didn't like. Because I like when cars go fast. I really do. It does redeem itself though, because it has a pretty sweet straight, which is where I would normally pass my opponents. I think this track was pretty tough though. I mean, this is the first track in the Special Conditions events, which is accessible by just having the A license. And oh boy, just look at it. Look at the corners, look at the lighting, look at the curves. It's modeled beautifully in all of its PS2 polygonal glory. A track to remember for sure. One of the best things that my friends at Threads if you will, have given me is tidbits of fun, cool, and good information about some of the tracks in this game. One of them being that the Seattle circuit is actually based on the real streets of the city, but normally games wouldn't go through this much trouble for track accuracy. Anyway, these streets are so legit, so much so in fact, that I was informed that the roads on the game can actually almost line by line be traced on a map. And here I thought that this track was only a beautiful orange sunset and nothing more. Thank you, God, for Seattle. The special stage Route 5, or the Japanese city pop stage as I like to remember it. I love to picture the classic 80s and 90s movie bad guys blazing through the city in their souped up Japanese tuners. There is always something really special about watching the sunsets and lighting in games of this time. It might just be the effect of having played them in your childhood that makes them feel special, but just look at the perfect blend of orange and blue and the pretty night lights of the city. I don't think this track was designed to model the city as directly as the Seattle track did, but I think it's obvious that it's meant to be based on Tokyo street racing. I'm really sad though, because this track wasn't featured in Gran Turismo 7 or Gran Turismo Sport. What a shame.
Cancel it!
The Costa of Amalfi is probably why games like Gran Turismo 4 or Forza Horizon 2 gain so many style points. This legendary coast is located near the city of Naples, around the southwestern edge of my motherland, Italy. There's just something that matches incredibly well with quaint and colorful Italian towns built around cliffsides beside the sea, and cars, specifically luxury cars that go fast, really fast. This stage actually looks like it came straight out of Sonic Heroes.
What is Ligma? Ligma balls.
And I say this with the highest admiration possible. To think that your simulation driving game pulls inspiration from a dumpster fire game from 2003, heartfelt apologies to all my Sonic fans out there, is something actually pretty refreshing. Although, quite unlikely, I know. At least some of these tracks have been in all Gran Turismo games. So why did I choose to talk about Gran Turismo 4 specifically? Well, aside from it being one of my favorite games when I was around 10 years old, and the fact that it was the first game that I chose to emulate when I downloaded PCSX2 on my PC, I think that GT4 was peak Gran Turismo. One reason I think is that the PS2 era graphics exist somewhere between graphics that are beautiful enough to wow you, but not real enough so that your brain has to bridge the gap between imagination and reality. This is something that I feel like it has been talked about at length, but I would like to mention it for this video. The fact that older video game graphics feel so great and make remembering and being nostalgic for said games an entertaining activity is that graphics at the time weren't of extreme high fidelity. Not really referring to great art style, by the way, that's completely different. It's totally independent from graphical fidelity. But for example, when you were a kid and you played Ocarina of Time and experienced those earth-shattering 3D graphics for the first time, your brain had to have been doing some very intense imagination machinations. I've always felt that the older the game is, the more of these imagination machinations your brain has to perform, and therefore, in a way, makes everything more entertaining. This is why, at times, you remember games feeling and looking better than they actually are. As time passed by and graphics got better and better, your brain probably had to work a lot less to be able to manifest the game world in your imagination. Games looked and felt better, yes, but the inner child has less and less fun. This is one of the reasons why some of those super high RTX, overdrive, NVIDIA, DLSS games can feel so empty and so soulless. There is very little that interfaces with your imagination in games like these. It might be highly subjective, but I feel like some games in the world of PS2 graphics live on the edge of these two areas, imagination and reality. This is why though, in addition to nostalgia, when you drive on that Seattle highway in the afternoon, you notice the beautiful orange hue on the side of the building, and it just seems to hit a little bit stronger. Hey guys, just a quick note from one of my sponsors, myself, Pixel Bread. Kind of weird referring to myself as my YouTube's channel name, but well, here we are. Just finished editing my first video, and if you got to this point, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for watching. It's a very cool experience to finally start making YouTube video essays, something I've always wanted to do for a long time. So if you did like it, I hope you leave a like and a comment and subscribe and all that good shit. And I'll see you in the next one.